Hello there. We are fast approaching the G7 summit, which will take place in Japan this May. Japan's stagnant economy and rising yen will no doubt feature on the agenda, but with the world's most powerful leaders in attendance, it won't all be about the land of the rising yen. Leroy Lawrence joins me now from Quadron Capital to discuss this. So, G7.
Yep.
What's it all about?
Well,
is it worth it?
It seems to be a lot of people sitting around talking. This time round, they're talking about doing something.
Good.
Which I guess they are always talking about this, but this time they really mean it.
That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I'm
the
hoping
point.
for. I mean, the sentiment was set really from Jean-Claude Juncker, where he first of all showed his support he's putting forward after the earthquakes that happened in Kyushu in Japan recently, which was a very sad situation. On top of that, he raised issues with migration and also with the refugee crisis. So those are matters we need to take on. Also safety from issues in Syria at the moment, issues with terrorism. Those are some of the main things he discussed. But also he wanted to talk about growth, and that's important. We need to talk about global growth and doing it in a simple way with less red tape than what has been kind of staple diet of G7 and G20 previously.
But it's all very well if you're a global leader coming out, you know, you're Angela Merkel, whoever you are. We need the global economy to grow. Yep. Well, we know that, but A, how? B, when are you going to do something about it?
Sure.
What do you imagine they should be doing at these G7 meetings? Because they have the power to do something, right, or not?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been a very long-lasting EU and Japan free trade talk agreement that's been going on since 2013 now. So we're 3 years into it. They're hoping it will happen this year. In fact, Donald Tusk was pushed even further, more aggressively to say, look, let's get this done this year.
And David Cameron was speaking about it.
And David Cameron as well.
Enthusiastic, yeah.
But there are some sticking points in the agreement to do with the auto industry. Obviously, there was a big scandal in the auto industry where they put their hands up and said since the 70s we've been bending the rules on the emissions. But on paper, maybe not in reality, but on paper, the actual safety rules in Japan are considered to be stricter than they are in the EU. So Japan have been pushing for stricter safety rules to meet both markets. And then also they've been pushing for reduced levies of tax against imports from Japan into the EU as well. So those are, but those appear to us outside the circle that they're not that complicated to resolve, but 3 years down the line those things still aren't resolved, so you do wonder sometimes how do they get to the bottom of it.
And I suppose both regions, Japan and the EU, their biggest fear is deflation.
Yeah.
Okay, what else are they going to be talking about? It can't just all be about coffee and cocktails, can it?
Well, the old ghost of Greece is still at large.
That's rearing its head again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite quiet. There was a review, a 2-year review, I think last week actually, I think it was, on the bailout from before. Greece still do need more money to be paid out to them at the moment, but there's a EU-IMF versus Athens juncture at the moment where the IMF and EU really want Greece to agree to having further cuts if they need to, if they don't meet spending targets by 2018. But we're looking at 82.8% of GDP in debt for Greece.
Astronomical, isn't it?
Which is a record. It's the worst of all nations.
Worse than Japan. That used to be the worst, you know. It's going way beyond that.
Prolific. So people such as the Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble has promised that there will not be a big crisis in Greece this year. He's probably right, I would say. But there is still a lot to do for Greece, and it has to be done, otherwise it will just lag on, and there can't be European-wide or global-wide growth when you have these big debt centres hanging over everyone's head.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank
so
you.
Plenty on the agenda for the G7. I think
Yes.
that's an understatement, and lots of expectation and high hopes as well. Leroy Lawrence, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Talking to us today from Quadron Capital about the G7 that is happening this May. So lots on the agenda. We've got Syria, ISIS, we've got the Japanese stagnant economy, of course, as well, and Greece too.